Hello and welcome to another episode of Sports and Songs Podcast. This is season 6, episode number 5. Tonight, Andy, tonight's the sports edition.
Sports. We have a few of those going on right now.
So it's December 9th, 2024. We'll start off with the trivia. We've got tons of sports to follow, lots of things happening. College football is on overload right now. And I'm talking all the different levels, right?
Yep. Oh, I have big news on all three, yeah.
So Andy will get everyone up to speed on the sports. I'll start off with a little tidbit, not a trivia question, but on the line of a trivia question.
Okay.
The WNBA had their expansion draft the other Friday night, I think. And so all that means is that there's 12 teams in the league. They're expanding to Golden State. The Valkyries will be coming in 2025. They have no players. They had to do an expansion draft. So the question that I've got is they were able to pick one player from each team of the existing teams. No more than one player is what I should say. You don't have to pick any, but you can pick one from a list of a pool of available players that are not protected by the existing team. So Golden State went ahead and did all that. When they got to Seattle Storm, they said, skip. We'll skip and go to the next one. They didn't say why. That you don't have to take a player from every team. And so we know there was scuttlebutt, and you remember this, they had these, there was the bullying situation, the coaches situation, the players, the locker room. There was a scandal going on that needed an investigation. So I'll leave you with this. More than likely they probably didn't want to touch it. They didn't want to touch Seattle Storm with a 10-foot pole.
You don't want to bring that
poison. They didn't know what was going on. But at the end of the episode, I'll give you the answer to the trivia, which is not really a trivia, but what I think really happened. And I think it's genius what they did and how this all unfolded. I think it's actually very good, but we'll get to that at the end. Let's get into the sports, Andy.
Funny. Look where we're starting.
Why the Mets?
Why not?
Of course.
They're my team. I love them. And they got Juan Soto. $765 million, more than Ohtani, and none of it's deferred. 15 years. So he'll be making $50-some million a year till the age of 41. Could make more if he hits certain incentives. But before you get all excited, I did look through the contract a little bit. Because Juan and I had the same agent,
Of course.
I was privy to some of that stuff. And the Mets do have a shot in 5 years to restructure the deal. So if he falls on his face or he has a leg fall off or something like that, they're not on the hook for all of it.
Okay. So that makes sense.
So there is a shot for in 5 years they could restructure it for outs and this and that.
Remind the audience, how old is he?
He just turned 26 in October.
Okay.
I know we were both at the birthday party, but the age never came up there. But yeah, he's 26.
Correct. Okay.
We celebrated his birthday here, but we weren't there. But
exactly.
Just for 26. So he'll be 41 when his contract's out. It's like Ohtani's contract, or like Fernando Tatis's contract. Juan Soto's not going to play the next 15 years in Queens. We all know that. So why they sign these contracts, it's an ego stroke for the numbers, and there's going to be some kind of out in it later on. We'll see.
So just to get your thoughts, because I'm sure it's the answer as I do. I think I do is he's going up with his agent to say, you're going to sign me. Sounds good. Who's the highest player? Ohtani. What's his value? 700. Okay, I want more than that. I don't care how many years it is, but as long as it's more than that. So fine.
And it's one more year than Tatis signed for.
15 years, whatever. You'll be 50 years old. Let's just get it done. Yes, he's not going to be playing that long. But I think they want that grand total so they're easy to sort. Like the graphic you have up is easy to sort descending order that you're the biggest. Well, it's probably not going to happen. But yes, you can have your day in the light right now because it's the largest contract number. Is that fair enough?
Yep. It's an ego stroke. I mean, okay. I'm happy as a Mets fan they got Juan Soto. They got one of the best players out there. Do I like Juan Soto? No. Never have. Never been a Juan Soto guy. When he's up at the blue and orange and we need a hit and he's up there, I'll be cheering my heart out like it was somebody, like it was any other Met player.
Sure.
Okay. Am I going to buy any of his shirts or T-shirts or no? So I'm really kind of stuck here. You always have this conversation with your friends when you're this and that. What's one player that you just can't stand that even if he was with your team, you'd still boo him? Okay, for me, that answer is easy. It's Bryce Harper. If he was in New York, I'd boo him. Juan Soto made the final 5 on my list for that, though. I mean, I'm just not, and I don't know what it is. There's just something about him I've never liked. Some people go, hey, this is his 4th team in 4 years. Everybody else signed the 1-year deal, so he wasn't like getting out of contracts. They're all 1-year deals. So, not okay. His contract was up in Washington. You're in San Diego. You're in New York. I mean, so he had 1-year deals. So that's on those other teams for not signing them longer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Washington signed him for 15 years, $400 million a couple years ago. They didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting 2/3 of that now because the value of the dollar has changed, I guess. Do we blame the Dodgers and Ohtani? Sure. You can blame them. But you look at that list. There's 2 of the top 4 with the Dodgers. Now, you could say, well, the Mets got 2 of the top 7. You're right. Now, you can't see much more down on that list. I just think with them signing Soto, the Mets still need Pete Alonso.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's not enough, is what you're saying.
And here's why I say that. Let's go man for man, if you will. Okay, the Mets got Soto, well, they got Ohtani. Well, the Dodgers got Mookie Betts. Well, the Mets got Francisco Lindor. Dodgers have Freddie Freeman. We need a Freddie Freeman. We need that 3rd gun. That would be Pete Alonso. So,
the polar bear.
The polar bear. I just call him Pete, though we're on a first name basis.
That's big. Yeah, that's a big news. I mean, Soto is just very good. He's not he's not a generational talent. He's not an Ohtani, I don't think.
He's a stone glove in the outfield. Don't get me wrong. I'm not excited for his defense or anything else, but it is what it is. He's a Met.
It's all about the number. He had to be the number 1 paid guy, so now that's how we get there.
Yeah. I guess I look at it this way too: is I like them that we have them. That the Mets have the players. They need the players to fill in, but he would not have been my first choice. And it's not because of the dollars. I don't care if they got him for $15 an hour. I don't like the guy. So there. Rule 5 draft coming up this week. We've talked about it a little bit here. I'm not going to have too much more on it. Just you're going to hear some names popping around. You'll see stuff on MLB Network, stuff on our social media. It's kind of your homework. Brush up on the Rule 5, what it means and why, and you'll see some names dropping around.
Will the Mets pick up a few guys here, you think?
Depends. I mean, they just dropped some money on some pitchers, so we'll see.
If
that one peg comes through and needs to fill that other hole, maybe.
Their 40-man roster right now is sitting at 32 players, I think, for the Mets, which is low.
Well, this guy, what's his name, came off his 1-year suspension today too.
Oh, okay. So maybe they got 32.
So
the Twins are sitting there at like 37, I think, guys. So they may, get a player or 2 here and then free agency. Mets, we know, are very active in the offseason, so maybe they're keeping that number.
They need some pitching help bad. So if the right pitcher falls through.
Look for those here because, yep. So this will be fun. This is Wednesday night.
Hall of Fame Veterans Committee, Classic Era Committee, sorry. Dick Allen and Dave Parker both made it. I'm happy with both those picks. I mentioned a couple weeks ago. I was kind of hoping these 2 would get in. So congrats to both of them.
Congrats.
All right, here's college bowls. Here's the Big Ten teams that are in.
Okay.
They all have to have their big name sponsors and everything else. So here we go. Rutgers is in there against K-State. You got SC in there against Texas A&M. Nebraska is in there against BC. Iowa's in there against Mizzou. They got Michigan and Alabama. Replay of last year's championship. Washington, the Cardinal are. You got the Cheez-It Bowl with Illinois and South Carolina. Then the Gophers and VTech and the Duke's Mayo Bowl. I got issues with this one.
Okay, what, the name or the opponent or the whole thing?
But okay, I can't watch that show, Dr. Pimple Popper. I can't watch surgeries. I can't see blood and guts.
Okay, yep, fair enough.
You win this, they dump mayonnaise on you. That's wrong.
Yeah,
and also during the whole press conference, PJ's up there. We're in the Duke's Mayo Bowl, holding the Duke's. That stop.
Yeah, it's the whole.
Yeah,
it's so orchestrated and choreographed. They've got to mention it 3-4 times. They have to have a product in front of them. It's all the checklists they have to.
It's like the one thing I don't like about NASCAR. They just got out of the car for race. How'd you do today? Well, the Good Wrench, Ford, Chevy did. Blah, 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 blah. They got all the names and sponsors. They got to rattle off first.
Now, what I do like about this, Andy, is that Mayo Bowl is Friday, January 3rd. Most, if not all, the bowl games are going to be done.
Yeah.
So Minnesota gets it's elite in the past to get a New Year's Eve bowl or a New Year's Day bowl.
Now you're the third.
Now you have all those, 12 teams playing in various bowls to get to the national title. But you're still playing January 3rd, and all of the big and the low tier tool.
That's a Friday night, I believe, too.
It's basically done. And it's a Friday night, and you're not going up against another bowl. It's by yourself. So I think
they're going against WWE SmackDown, so that might be tough.
Yes. But this should be a good game. Now it's Virginia Tech 6-6, go for 7-5, but it's still big schools, D1 stuff, not ranked. But I think that's a good thing for both schools.
And here's the bracket for the big tournament.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Now, the first round games, the better seeds the home team.
And literally at home.
Yes.
This is going to be great.
I believe the second round is that way too. I do not know.
I think the second is neutral at neutral.
I'm not positive. We have that coming up later this week. We'll all go through that. I know the semifinals and finals are bowl games, quote unquote. So
look at the home games here. Texas, for Longhorns fans, another home game. Ohio State in Columbus, another home game. Nittany Lions, Penn State, another home game. Notre Dame, are you kidding me? Just imagine the fans, number one, who want to go to an unexpected one more home game in the year to try to get tickets. Yep. And the opposing teams who now can say, you know what, I want to travel there because our teams don't play this. I'm never going to see a home game here. Indiana, playing Notre Dame. Tennessee traveling to Ohio State. Yeah. Tennessee's never played Ohio State, have they?
If they have, they probably cut them on your thumbs.
Yes. So that's what I think will be fun about this first round stuff. And it's single,
come out of this.
And it's single elimination. So you lose, you go home. There's no other bowl game. You're not going to fall into another, second round consolation. You're done. Your season is done. But this will be fun to watch, I think.
My beef with this, and I know we're working on a special show. I will not be able to be part of it. So here's my.
We'll have a bonus episode coming up. Yes.
Here's my 2 cents on it now. The national championship game is not an NCAA game. It's a separate game. So that's all right there.
And define that. This is a separate organization running this.
Right. Tournament. Yeah. It's not the NCAA running it. So they could have all their other things they have to do with it. All the money you're making, you can't buy out Notre Dame and make them be in a conference.
Yeah,
because this whole setup was all these conference champions and Notre Dame. Ever since the first time they started this years ago at the playoffs, it was all these conference champions and Notre Dame was an independent and Notre Dame and Notre Dame. Okay, Texas went to a new conference this year, played in the conference championship game. There was like 4 or 5 schools were all in new conferences, played in the conference championship game. Some of them won it, Oregon, Yeah. So it can be done. You're not going to – I'm just so sick of Notre Dame has to be an independent. And they got to join a conference.
Here's
someone pissed at my Cheerios today because I'm on a roll. I hate everybody today. Notre Dame, I have no respect for them because of that aspect. They'll join a conference for basketball. They join the Big Ten for hockey. They'll join this conference for this, but not the mighty football. Screw
you know
you.
why, Andy, is because you said this on many shows before, is they have their own football TV contract. They have no incentive to go anywhere else.
But
They're
like
making
these other contracts can't buy that out and match it, is what I'm saying.
yeah. So here's the question.
Yep.
If they would just have said, this would be one way to get Notre Dame to be irrelevant, whether they're in a conference or not. To have the new 12-team bracket say, hey, when the brackets, the final rankings come out, the coaches' rankings, the writers, the AP poll comes out, the top 25 teams. Regardless of conference, we're going to take the top 12 and throw them in a tournament, regardless of conference. Yep. That would be perfect.
That's what they should have done, but they didn't.
You don't care about the conferences there. You're not worrying about who's getting the money and who's not, and who's getting featured versus who's not. Notre Dame would be in there wherever they fall. But doing it this way, they have to have the winner of the Power 5 conferences in here, and then the next 3 or 4 highest ranked teams, and all this criteria, so they fall in here. So these teams aren't ranked here. No, let's see. Do you have the rankings? Yes.
Yeah, they're seated, not ranked, but yeah.
Oh, got it. So they're seated, but the actual rankings, some of these teams are lower in the top 20.
Yeah. Arizona's not the 4th ranked team. They're like barely top 10. They're the 4 seed.
Yeah, I think they finished 15th or 16th. So what they do is reseed them for this tournament and then not seed them again. But we'll have this on the bonus episode too, because what I'm going to do is put together a bracket with the actual final year-end rankings, national rankings.
I've seen those out too.
Yeah, I'd rather see that and the win-loss record for these games going forward, not a seeding.
And here's the other thing.
It's a different company running this.
You've added 12 teams to a playoff. We've said this last year and years before. How many guys did you see, oh, I'm not going to play in the bowl game because I'm going pro and I don't want to get hurt? Okay, you got player X. I'm just grabbing a hypothetical. A guy from Miami, University of Miami in Florida. He's not here. He might be the top stud running back or quarterback coming out. He go, I'm sitting out. I'm not getting hurt. Now you're the guy from Texas. You might got to play 4 more games here. Look at the kid from Georgia, hurt his elbow, and Georgia doesn't know who their quarterback's going to be coming up.
That's the huge point. 4 more games.
If it was a regular, just quote unquote bowl game, Georgia would have their punter be quarterback this week. They wouldn't care. It's a bowl game. They got to figure out what to do.
And by the time, now I've mentioned this with my wife, Andy. Andy, you're going to love this. Because there's 4 games to the title game, teams, this is college, this is late in the season.
Yeah.
After they play 3 games, the teams in the final for that championship are more likely going to have 1 or 2 key players out because of injury.
Oh, yes.
It's not going to be a true championship game. It could be a blowout in the finals because you may not be having the starting quarterback, running back, receiver, the skill positions. Those guys could be hurt, injured, or limited, or probable, or questionable after playing 3 grueling games already. That's, I think, going to be one of the downfalls.
The Gophers played 12 games this year. Everybody else has played. Oregon played 13. They had to play, or Texas had to play a 13th game because they were in their conference championship. Now they got to play 4. They're going to have 17 games this year played.
So this is an NFL
if they make it to the championship.
Yeah, the teams that get to the finals it's going to be an NFL schedule, 17 games. These people are college students. Not that they spend doing all their time doing their homework, but
2 years ago played 11 games in a season.
Yes.
And now it's 17.
And so that's going to be very interesting to see how this shakes out. Yes, for the fans, it's going to be great. For the bars, for the Buffalo Wild Wings, for the sports bars with all these games going on, they're going to love it. They're going to eat this right up. But the players, that's now 4 more weeks of practice. I mean, it's press interviews. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when all this shakes out, I think.
The Bison won their game, 51-31. They move on.
Congrats.
Congrats to the Bison. Little fun note for the Bison game. So here's the schedules. They're down to their final 4 games, 8 teams. The Bison will play Saturday on ABC at 3:30 Eastern. That's 2:30 for those of us in Minnesota. 3:30 for intern Abby, who now lives on the East Coast. So,
oh, wow, that's right.
So there's a game, Bison game, 2:30 at Central Time was the kickoffs, blah, 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 on the ABC. That's channel number 5 for those of us here in the Twin Cities area. The Beavs came up 4 yards short of beating Mankato or I'm sorry, Minnesota State at Mankato Camp. 4 yards short, lost the game. But here's the fun part of that one. It's the first time an NSIC team has made it this far in the playoffs to the national semifinals.
Oh, interesting. Now, I didn't know that. Okay.
And here's our brackets. They reseed them 1 and 4, 2 and 3. We'll keep an eye on that slippery rock. You never know. Ferris State's always kind of up there. Their issues. So there's your final 4 for that for the Division 2. Let's talk a little high school wrestling. Gonna be partial. We're gonna talk Watertown wrestling. Congrats, Parker Jackson, ranked number 10, 100 wins in the meet there. And then, oh, by the way, the next week, Joel, 50 pins and 100 wins. Bryce, 100 pins. Titan, 100 wins in a row.
Yeah, this is unbelievable.
In a row.
So Coach Becker has got to be proud.
Oh,
these
Coach
are
McDonald,
phenomenal.
Coach Becker, they got some 4 studs there.
This is going to be fun.
I love the pictures of the kids here. This one and that one. They all got the hurry up, mom, take the freaking picture. Smile on their face, you know.
Yeah, this is good stuff. I mean, these are incredible numbers by very talented athletes.
100 wins, 50 pins. 100 wins in a row.
Consecutive wins.
Yeah, just unreal.
So, Mr.
That's
Burkett,
like video game numbers, you know.
Well, Bryce Burkett in the center there on this photo is going to Oklahoma, and the other 2 individuals on the outside have committed to the U of M to be Golden Gophers. So these are not just good athletes; these are Division I guys.
Yes,
that will be, in my mind, I'm guessing that they're going to be starting right off the bat. I don't see these guys being redshirted for a year or something. So get a chance to see these guys if you can look at the calendar, look at the schedule.
High school wrestling is awesome this year. Check it out. The Bison kicker, Griffin, made 262 career point after attempts or point after touchdowns, breaking the NCAA record. So congrats to him. Not a lot of times see a kicker getting love, maybe even a 15th round pick in the NFL. You never know.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, you don't hear this too often.
Okay, there's the Valkyries roster. Kate got picked up.
I like that. You know, the other thing I think that it's good that they picked her. She's going to put fans in the seats. She's going to be a fan favorite. Fun stuff.
You know, and here she had her nice letter statement. Hey, thanks to the Aces. You know, this is kind of the story of Kate Martin, just to refresh your memory if you're new to the show. She goes to the draft last year just to cheer on her friend Caitlin Clark. She ends up getting drafted with the last pick.
Wasn't planning on it.
Yeah, she wasn't there. She probably had to call and cancel dinner reservations they made afterwards. She planned on going out for drinks with the girls, and now guess I gotta do some interviews, ladies. Sorry, you know. So Kate Martin moving on. Gopher women's volleyball season came to an end with a loss to Kentucky 3-1. So congrats to those girls. Good run. All right. Ready?
This will be good.
NFL players can now smoke twice as much marijuana without fines, but can't post about their drug use on social media. I think all I'm going to say here, I've talked to Connie and HR about my contract and everything else. This will probably be the last time I mention the NFL, me personally. I'm done. I'm so done with that league.
Oh,
I don't know what to do anymore. What a bunch of great role models. Hey, you guys could smoke so much dope. Just don't put it on your social media. You're okay, though. I'm just so done.
So I have a comment when you're done.
Go ahead. I'm done. That's what I say. I am done.
Okay. The thing is, when you join the league, and I think most fans know this, but you get drafted, you join, you make the team. You have an HR session that enrolls you and kind of brings you in, onboarding onto the team, what to do, what not to do, where to go for this, what kind of meetings, how to get to the game, how to get to practice, how often the practices are, all these little housekeeping things. one of them at the very beginning, and this is with Major League Baseball, all the pro sports is how to handle yourself in interviews and what to do and what not to do on social media and what to do and what not to do as far as how you dress, what you say in public, all these things that they basically treat you like a child when you sign up. So all 32 teams in the NFL already has this in the handbook.
Yep.
Now, this is the NFL saying, once again, please don't put your drug tests on social media. The NFL does not need to say this. They're just reinforcing it here, but that's how much of a problem it is.
Yep.
Now, please don't post. Last year we had the guy waving his handgun on a Instagram video. You know better as an adult to do that. You also know because they've given you the rules of what you can. They're in the handbook. So now
the Vikings have the one player that's supposed to be suspended for 3 games for a crime, and we're still holding up in court, so he could still play. No, you'd be fired from any other job. What job do you know in America besides working for the Felons League here? Hey, you can go and smoke dope all you want, just don't put it on social media.
Could you imagine
any job you walk into where you smoke dope, you're fired? Any job that you have,
if the employer says, look, just really don't post your drug use on social media. Here's the NFL with babying the players.
They make twice as much as you want if we test you. But
just press release just to say, hey, throttle it back a little bit on your drug use. Now, is this because it's so hard to keep track of everyone's small drug use? They just say, look, we'll double it so we can eliminate all this small shenanigans.
I'm sure I'd do it. The Players Association had something to say about it.
Okay, the whole press release is a great soapbox. This is tremendously awkward.
So everybody else watching football and you're waiting for baseball to start.
Oh, it's too much.
And, the NBA is not far from behind on that, being the same way with the whole smoke all the marijuana you want. I don't even think marijuana is listed in the NBA drug test anymore. What are you saying to the future? Okay, here I am, the crabby old man at the end of the road. What are you saying to your kids? No, smoke weed. That's fine. You just play in the NFL or the NBA instead.
And they say how much the players are role models to the kids. And now they're saying, don't post on social media, but now you can use twice as much as if you want. I mean, this is just a hypocrisy overload. Now, for this weekend, Andy, as far as college football, this coming Saturday is the Army-Navy annual game, right?
Yes. The Battle of the Band.
The battle, yes. And then NFL.
The battle, not the Battle of the Bands. But just this battle is this is huge. One where if they want to plant the flag in the field, I think they'd be okay with it because we lost, you can do it.
The historical significance and it's just a great thing that they have every year, regardless of the records. You're playing Army-Navy game every year. So that's this weekend. The NFL is also.
Army had won and gone undefeated and made the bowl series, they would have had this extra game now.
Well, that had to have been probably in the works somehow as a contingency thing for the top 12 team, because now what does happen? One of those, I think it's not really this year that is very good.
Or if you make it 14 or 16 teams, oops, we might make it in. We might have to move this game up in the schedule a little bit.
Yeah, and that's the other thing with the 12 team. There's so many exceptions to everything because of all these things. But the big thing is the focus here is bowl season doesn't start till the following week. Focus on the Army-Navy if you get a chance this weekend. And also, if you want to watch football on Saturday, the Division III championships are in the Elite 8. Bethel still in it for Minnesota. Elite 8 games are going on Saturday. Division II, Mankato State's part of the Final Four. FCS, NDSU is part of that Elite 8. All those games will be going on.
ESPN and ABC will be showing those games,
This is a great Division II, Division III FCS weekend for college football, in addition to the Army-Navy on Saturday.
Yeah.
Great
chance for them to shine.
Yeah, it's always a fun weekend because it focuses on those other those other teams. I mean, these quarterfinals, these semifinals is good stuff. Now, we mentioned,
finish your story.
Anything else on sports, Andy?
A lot of free agents, a lot of trades, or not trades. Free agents have been signed. The Mets have picked up some pitchers from the Yankees. Other guys going here and there. Let's all wait. Most of us should make the starting roster, but let's see what spring training says first on that.
Yeah, we're going to get hot into the hot stove league here in the off season. The Rule 5 is Wednesday. We had the expansion draft with the WNBA, and that doesn't start till next year. And before that even starts, there's another, still the amateur draft. The college draft takes place. So all the teams are still going to supplement their rosters. Now, the answer to the question, go ahead.
Yes, here's your story.
The answer to the question is the Golden State Valkyries had their their expansion draft. They could have had up to 12 players. They picked 11. They let Seattle go. Now, here's what I think. Now, the hubbub with the Seattle Storm had the issues with the bullying, something in the locker room. People weren't treated fairly. There was a lot of hubbub. So they did an investigation. They hired an outside law firm to come in, look at everything. And it just wrapped up the other day. Our conclusion is there's nothing. There's no wrongdoing. Seattle's just fine. Well, you and I both know that's not correct. Right. That's not. There's obviously something going on.
Something had to be wrong to cause a ripple to make you
This was a big enough ripple going on that the whole organization knew something was going on with Seattle. So the very next day, Jewell Loyd, the shooter, the point guard, says, "I'm demanding a trade." She announced to the general manager, "I want out." So now it helps us narrow down who was part of it,
right,
or who was the victim, or who was instigating,
whistleblower or something,
or the whistleblower, because she said nothing got resolved after all this. She says, "I'm out. I have to leave this organization." So I would consider her in the good boat, right? She's doing the right thing. She's leaving. She made probably some demands and some changes to be done. They weren't followed. She says, "Sounds good." She's 10 years in the league, a veteran point guard, former number one overall pick in the WNBA. Very good, and a leader. I looked onto the Golden State players from the expansion draft, and they picked 4 guards. One rookie, one guard with 1 year experience, and one rookie. They're all young. This gal, Jewell Loyd, is demanding a trade. I am sure the Golden State team is going to say, "We've got it right here. We need a veteran. We'll hold off on picking who your protected or unprotected players are. We don't want that. We'll take the trade and get a veteran leader in here, and maybe throw you a couple of draft picks in the future." Right. I'm guessing, is my prediction on this show, is that she's going to go to Golden State. They need a veteran leadership.
Or some of these guards they picked up, they'll send back to go to Seattle.
Correct. And I'm thinking that'll be part of it. Here, we'll send you a draft pick or 2 and one of our existing guards who's not going to get much play time now because they're so young. And they're going to need this leader, and they're going to get youth and veteran mix is what I think is going to happen. So they set a point by saying, "No, we don't want any of your non-protected players." And maybe that was to say, "Yeah, we know we got shit going on up there.
We'll send you 2 more in a trade later.
We'll send you some later after the dust clears, but we want her in return because she now has proved that she is the leader that we want on this team. By calling out whatever BS was going on up there, she could be a perfect fit, and it could be a win-win. If Seattle wants her out of there, it's probably going to be best that she's gone. And if Golden State gets her, they're going to be set up pretty good, I think.
And how do you not know the players that Seattle didn't protect? Were they the ones who were the problem? Well, I don't want your problem. And I think that's why they held off by saying, "I'm not going to pick any of your players until you figure all that stuff out, because we don't know who's protected, who's not, who the troublemakers are, who's not, who's the cancer in the clubhouse, or who's not. We're a brand new team. We can't afford to take any of that risk." Now that they know who the good player is, the veteran who was probably right all along, my prediction on this show here tonight is that I think they'll grab her in a deal with a trade, and then return a couple. They're already young. The next draft coming up in April, and even the following year in April for the draft, maybe they give them a first round and a second round over the next couple of years, and a current guard, and say, "We want her," and have her be part of this centerpiece of the group, and then everyone's happy. So that's my little prediction. But all their guards are super, super young for a WNBA team. It's too young. They have no one. So I think they went into this knowing the answer, I think. Yep.
What's your thoughts? Am I on track?
I see where you're coming. You're good on that
theory, but it could be right on the money, because if they don't want her and she doesn't want to go back to Seattle, I'm sure 11 other teams probably want to, but they don't have room on their staff for a point guard to come on in. Well, Golden State needs one. Big, huge opening. So I think they did that for 2 reasons. One, to say we don't want to be part of your problem. And number 2, we're going to end up getting one of your players anyway in a trade later on.
Yeah.
But they made a statement there as what I think.
I agree. That sounds pretty. I can see that happening. Yeah.
I like it.
I see the logic in that.
That could be a very good deal. That's all I've got for this week. We're going to cover a lot of, next week on the show, Andy, we'll have the Division 2, 3 FCS updates. The Rule 5 will be done, and the tournament will be just starting for the bowl, college bowl.
Now, I just want to mention here too. I put it out there to those who are in tribute bands or cover bands. Come for the crossover on this on our social media.
Okay.
Send in your college bowl picks just for the 12-team tournament, not every bowl game, and the Gopher game. So what is your picks for the 12-team tournament? How do you think that's going to go? If you want to be on the show next week or 2 weeks, we go over it, great. If you just want to send them in and we'll read your name and plug your band and give your picks, great. If you just want to send us $40, that's great.
Bingo.
But let's talk about picks right now first.
Send them in.
Email us, social media us, put it on our page. We'll put it on the show in a couple weeks. We'll go over our picks, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, we think we have a lot of crossover fans for both of our platforms here, and this should be very interesting.
Yes. So we want just bands. If you want to send in your picks too, because you're just a regular guy, fine. But those who are in bands, we want to get your stuff out there and push it out that way.
Sounds good. We'll be back next week. Look forward to seeing you then.
Bye.
Bye.